Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of What's My Story? Because everyone has one. So I'm excited about today's guest. We have Miss Lela Boykin. I'll say just world renowned because I'm so excited to hear her story and everything that she's got going on and has gone on throughout the years. She is, holding the camera. She says she wants to make it happen. And so we're gonna do this, and I'm so enjoyed to have her on the program. So, Miss Lela Boykin, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Napoleon. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to talk to you. We've our paths have always crossed throughout the many years,
Yes.
So I said, the person I want to speak to is Miss Lela Boykin because of all the knowledge that you have and everything that you've done throughout the years. I think many people just don't know about it, right? And
right.
So I'm excited. So let's just start off right now, right? Lela Boykin, did you grow up here in Columbus, Ohio?
No, I did not. I am the child of parents who migrated from Birmingham, Alabama, after World War II. I was a baby raised in Cleveland. Okay. Major life lessons from my father and my mother. And, they tell you things when you're a teenager, but you think they don't know what they're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of like 15 years old. And my father used to tell me and my 7 siblings, you have to think your way through this life. And it's okay if you get mad about things, because there are things in this life that will make you mad, but you have to use your intelligence to help find a way to make things better. And, that was a constant lesson from him. And my mother, on the other hand, who was a very calm, loving person. And she wanted to make sure that none of us hated anybody.
Wow.
And her reason for that was, hate destroys the hater, and you will never become the person God intends for you to become as you go through this life. And so those were the 2 life lessons that helped me really steer my way through coming to Ohio State, being involved in the Black Student Union, helping to bring about change. And it wasn't as difficult as we thought it would be, because my dad had said, think it through, come up with a better way to do it. My mother was, don't hate. And many of the elders in Columbus at that time, because we were there at Ohio State in the 60s, was like, we know you're mad, but you can't keep cussing people out and screaming at them because they'll shut you down, right? So they gave us a little practice, fed us, and said, now you go back on campus and do things the right way.
Yeah, well, let me back up with you a little bit. Let me stop you there, because I tell you, when you said, we're born in Birmingham, Alabama, aka Birmingham, Alabama, right?
Yes.
And so, what did your parents tell you about the class? And I don't know when you moved from Birmingham, but what did your parents tell you about it, or what was your experience being born there in Birmingham?
Well, actually, they moved to Cleveland when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
But the amazing thing about my parents was that they never told us any of the horrible things that they had experienced.
Okay.
And back then, adults didn't really share a lot of stuff with kids.
Okay.
So we would, when family members, like cousins, would come over, and we were not allowed to sit in the room and listen to them talk. However, we had our ear to the door. Okay. And so we found out that my father was one of the men in Birmingham who helped other men get out of the state and get away from the Klan.
Oh, goodness.
And he and a cousin of his, and then somebody told on them, so they had to leave Birmingham about 6 months before the rest of us got to Cleveland. Never talked about that, okay? One of my mother's cousins was a partner with A. Philip Randolph. He was a sleeping car porter. And the only thing, yes, but we never got to hear the strategies that they were planning. Everybody was glad to see us and all that, excused us. But I remember that he only stayed overnight. All of the adults came up with a plan of sorts, and then he left. And so, you remember that.
Yes.
When I watched the civil rights movement unfold on TV was when I asked my mother, like, why don't you hate white people? And she repeated that same thing about how, you hate people, you destroy yourself. So I really, as a teenager, had to work that through.
Mm.
Now, on the other hand, my father, we kind of heard that he and his friends were part of the group of black men who were the last hired and the first fired.
Mm. Okay.
We never saw any anger, okay, as children. And he said, nobody owes you anything. You work for what you want because you have to be responsible for yourself.
Mm.
And so with those life lessons, all 8 of us, we worked. My older brothers were in unions. They went to the military. Uncles were in the segregated army. They never said any nasty things about that. They handled it. One of my uncles was in the Normandy invasion. The other one was in Italy.
Okay.
They came back alive. So in every war from the Second World War up through Afghanistan and Iraq, a male in my family has been in one of those wars.
Wow.
And all of them came back alive. And they did not die until years later back home on U.S. soil.
Wow.
So I had a lot of examples of strength being shown to me in very adverse times. So I always felt that, it's now my turn to make my family proud. So this is what I'm going to do and be. And I became a community activist, which is what people know me for now.
Right. Right.
And I've been very happy doing that because I have been able to influence bright young people throughout the course of my professional life who now have picked up the sword and are ready to move forward. And as a matter of fact, I'll be talking to a couple of them later this evening about something they plan to do. They want to bring about change, but they want to do it in a way that's effective and it gets done.
So it then speaks to me, what you have gone through as far as, your upbringing is why, I've never, the times that I've known you and seen you interact, you never get upset. You're pretty much mild-mannered and very, very straightforward and direct and getting a point across, but you never get frazzled, right? You never.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. My mother used to tell me I was definitely my father's daughter because that's the way he was. So I emulated him. Okay.
Right. And that's what I was wondering. I was wondering, who did you take from, right? Right.
Yes. Yes. And it was him because he was the one who always wanted to resolve something.
Okay.
He didn't like to keep talking about it, criticizing. He said, figure out how you can make it better. And that was kind of our marching orders. I watched my older brothers, and incidentally, I drive like one of them, like because in Cleveland you drive differently than you do here, right?
Right.
Anyway, they would take me and my sisters to different places of business to show us how we should handle ourselves when we're doing business. Because at that time, growing up, Cleveland was segregated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had to deal with a lot of stuff. And the one lesson I learned from one of my late older brothers who was in the Korean conflict, and his motto in life was, when you're paying and not begging, you don't have to take crap off people. So that's like, okay, he's the one I drive like too. But it was like, you own you. What's this whole thing? Yeah, so I had a lot of positive input about how to handle myself in this world, in spite of the fact that we were all Black, if that makes any sense to you.
Right. No, I get
and
it.
it was, don't be afraid to be Black, okay? Be the person that you are. and
Right.
you do the right thing because you must do the right thing.
Exactly. Exactly. So how, I just always wonder, from hearing what you're talking, how you maneuver through the times, because, when you realize, back in the 60s, back in even the 70s,
Yep.
and just being up north, and, there's still issues. And
Yes.
there was, maybe not as overt, but covert. And so how, I hear how you did that, but did you impress upon others the same? Right, right? Because I'm sure many of your friends were like, "No, we are either marching or we're going. We're not taking this. We're taking this frustration out somehow, some way, But I see that, following you, you're like, we'll get the legislation, or we'll get, we have to get, build these connections to move the needle to,
That's right.
so how did you come about all that? I mean, learning how to do what you do.
And it all came about, you know, um, really to me after I lost my parents.
Mm,
And when I rethought what they said about bringing change,
yes.
I thought, okay, I've got to perform in a better way.
Okay.
I have to. And fortunately, um, those of us who were in the Black Student Union at OSU during the 60s um, were impressed by the elders, Otto Beatty Sr., who owned
Mm,
the Chesapeake Bay. Um, uh, there were Black attorneys,
mm,
Charlie Seward, businessmen who
mm,
had been through a lot of stuff themselves and really knew what our frustrations were.
okay.
But they saw that we had an opportunity to bring about some change at OSU, and we were able to do that. Even in the 70s, when the group got arrested and put in jail and kicked out of school, and their whole thing was coming back after that, they did, graduated, but we did not have the fear of trying to bring about change.
Now, let's stop there. You talk about being arrested, or the folks from the scene, and for those who don't know what happened or why it happened, talk a little bit about
Oh yeah, well, that 70s group, Akko Cambone and those folks, they took over the administration building.
it. Okay.
Okay.
Why would they do such a thing?
We were trying to bring about some change. One of the changes that we wanted to bring about was removing the difficulty that Black students had in applying for various grants for tuition.
Mm,
That was one.
okay.
Another one was Black students were not allowed to live off campus beyond Chittenden. Okay,
Wow.
there was discrimination in housing.
And this is in
Um,
the 70s.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, this is 40 years ago, 50 years ago, right?
yeah.
Mm, okay.
So, and at that time, the one thing that we also wanted, um, with getting the Black Studies department, we also wanted the Community Extension Center. We wanted a learning entity in the
Mm,
community where our folks could come and, number one, get some idea of what being on that campus was like,
mhm.
and also being exposed to Black studies, so that we would be well informed and nobody would kind of make us feel ashamed because we were talking about having Black studies at a university.
Wow.
So that's kind of, how that all happened. And it's interesting today. We've had several new people at the Extension Center, Ray Miller and Charlita Tavares, and now Herschel Craig have
Okay.
made sure that the renovation money for the Extension Center is still intact, and the renovations are going on, should be complete maybe February, March. And people in the community have been suggesting various types of education programs that can emanate out of that Extension Center. My favorite piece is this. Let's talk about connecting African students and African American students in a way that we begin to understand and respect each other's lives, and maybe do more exchange programs. But let's bring the curtain down and understand how we may be different, but we're also very much alike.
Right, right, exactly right, and that's all. And you know, that's a big piece, and also a big piece is that to understand the history of the Extension Center and what people went through to make
Oh
sure
yeah,
that happens, and now that for it to continue, right? Because you know, some things can often fall by just by the wayside, just you know, and before you know it, it's gone.
that's
So
right. That's right.
appreciate you know the work that's being done to make sure to maintain that and you know continue the work that's going on there, the education piece. So goodness, so yeah, so you went through all that, and you were also part of another community group, or is the neighborhood house? Were you part? Were you the head there at some point, or chairs?
Well, I was promoted finally to the associate director there,
Okay.
and was able to participate in some grant writing to get money for various programs, and that is when I had my greatest experience with young people in Bolivar Arms who were very smart, didn't quite know what to do, and me and other people who worked there, and after school kept encouraging them. And I'll tell you, it's really amazing for me to go to Kroger's or be in a group somewhere and somebody goes, "Hey, Miss Lela, how you doing? Remember when you told me so and so?" And that is absolutely wonderful. And
Right.
when I add that to now, um, I just rejoined the Columbus Association of Black Social Workers.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know the history about the National Association of Black Social Workers. Happened during the civil rights movement. It was initially called the National Council of Social Workers. Some disagreement on how they should be involved with the civil rights movement. They broke off, became the National Association of Black Social Workers. They're now reinventing themselves so that they can deal with social justice as we, Black social workers, understand the importance of, especially with our people. So I am really excited. I've been asked to mentor the president of the Columbus chapter, and we're having a good time. And I'm having her talk to certain people in the community, because what we understand is that unless we're in the community and we talk to people in the community, we won't understand the problems, and we certainly can't help them find a solution.
Oh, exactly.
So we're going back to that. And I'm just really thrilled. And one of the major changes that they're making, there's a national conference in April, and they've always like done it outside of Chicago, in little suburbs whose names we can't remember. This time they're going to be in downtown Chicago.
All right.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Yeah. Feature. That's amazing. That's good stuff. So you're doing. So what else are you doing now? I mean, I still see you know you're out there and going to the Thursday noon club and
Oh
making your
yes.
voice there. Well, I mean, come on.
I know. I'm not very good at talking about myself, but two things. Yes, I'm a member of the Thursday Noon Club, which has a wonderful history, a long history of dealing with injustice and community concerns. And we're now at a threshold where we need to evolve into more of an advocacy kind of role, and allow young people to come in and learn the lessons from us, and get some pointers on how to strategize with things that they see need to be changed.
Yeah,
So
because the Thursday Noon Club has been around what 70 years now.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just like anything else. You start something as African Americans, and you can only locate yourself in a certain place, and then as the years go by, you finally graduate out of that. But what we need to do is to ensure that we have a legacy, and that legacy will come through our young people. So we've been talking about, okay, those of us who are retired, we can do lunch, okay, for the day. But young people who are working, they may need to do it at a dinner. So
Okay.
we will, when we do the orientation of the Thursday noon club and some training and give them the history, we've got to do it at a time that's convenient for them. And also so that they feel comfortable that they can talk with us and we can talk with them, and it's not a hurry up situation.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. The other piece, I'm a former Near East Area Commissioner,
Hmm.
and
Is it? You
got
do, is
got some young people on that now, and that's really helpful for those of us who are retired from it. Okay, after having spent so many years, and the learning curve is taking a little bit longer than we anticipated.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, but we kind of serve as resident advisors. Okay, and so
Good.
it's beginning to take hold. It's beginning to take hold,
Good.
and
Good. Well, you know
leadership
what?
takes work. Leadership takes work.
It does. And what's interesting, and I'm sure you probably see this, but though, and working with people and also having the history is that some things or some ideas come up or some initiative is started. You're like, wait a minute, that's just the same thing we did, but repackaged to try to address. Do you ever become frustrated, right? Because fighting the good fight for whether it be education or civil rights, whatever that is, over the last 60, 70 years, and those who have been a part of it, things that are happening now, you're like, wait a minute, we
Yeah.
tried that or we did that or this, that, and the other. Do you become frustrated with that? We're trying to work with the young people and push that. What keeps you going and and do you become frustrated in that push of educating people about the history and the direction that we should go?
Well, I won't say that I get frustrated. Um, I feel the old Cleveland anger coming back. So I know I have to have a talk with myself. All right. And I was like, nah, that's not it. Um, and I do, and I have a talk with myself, and I have to recognize and remind myself all the time, these are just human beings,
Hmm.
and we all have our frailties. And just because they may think they're right and I think they're wrong, is no reason for me to give up. Okay,
Okay.
especially when you're fighting for what is just. Now, the one thing that I want to do is to help influence voting rights here, and so with the Association of Black Social Workers, hope to be able to get with the Black Lives Matter folks and say, okay, we know that there is a movement to reduce our ability to vote. What do we do to counter that? That's the only thing we need to do. How are we going to counter that? And we have enough smart people that can answer that question. We can put that in process. And that's what I like to work on, as well as being a member of the PAC board that has received $20 million from Fifth Third Bank, and
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
help redevelop the area and work on that. Okay, and if we're going to build better futures, we have to recognize that income levels are not equal. Okay, ability to earn money is not equal. Chances to earn money are not equal. However, we still have to treat people as human beings and make them feel that they have value.
Yes,
And
value.
that's what I see coming through with PACT.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So, we're a little short on time, but I tell you, I've got to show you one thing I'm just so you've done so much that I had to bring this up.
Yes,
You woman of the year,
yes, yes.
phenomenal woman of the year that you were given, right?
That's right. That's right.
So much earned by everything that I have heard and seen you do. So, here's another picture of that came from Channel 10, that you are on the move, but addressing the health issues, right? The healthcare.
Yes.
So, you are that go-to knowledge person, the community advocate. Like I said, working the system, working with people. Here you are with former mayor and others, and Congresswoman Beatty, and so many others there. Trudy Bartley. So, and was that no, that wasn't a neighborhood house. I think that was a neighborhood investment program from Fifth Third. Is that right?
Yes, it was. It was. But you have to take advantage of opportunities to influence.
Yes.
And that's what I'm working on, and will continue to work on, and to assist young people in moving in that direction. Because the success for change will come through us being better negotiators, us being better strategists, us really believing in the yes, we can do this as human beings.
Yes, yeah, and yes, and so we need more people like yourselves, being able to, being able to have the strategy, but also the mentality of just keeping it level, but always knowing the goal that you're trying to get to, and it's like I can't say enough how I appreciate the work that you've been doing over the many years, and me watching you and always out there. And it's like she's like just a little Energizer bunny out there doing the work.
And it's interesting that you would say that, because my father, whom I emulate with the whole thinking kind of process, was only 5'6", and I think he, at tops, he weighed 150. But he was always shoveling the food in. Okay. So, but he had a big mind. Yes, he did.
Right. Well, very good. Well, we could talk for hours, and I really appreciate this time. Now we'll have to get you back on here, because I know people watching that, they're like, man, I never knew that. I never knew that. One thing I saw that, you have your master's degree from Antioch College, right?
That's correct. Yes.
And so, you are a smart cookie out there, just making it happen. So that's great stuff. Well, let me ask you one question, but it's kind of a off the wall question, because what's your favorite food?
Actually, fried chicken.
Fried chicken. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So is it the fried chicken you make at home, or is there someone who makes it just the best?
It's the fried chicken from home with mashed potatoes and gravy. It's that kind of. Remember, my parents are from Birmingham.
Right. I get it. Well, thank you so much, Lela, for this time that we spent together, and I hope people that are watching get to learn a little more about you, and they'll probably be calling you too. Says, Lela, I got a question. How do I do this? Right.
That's right. And on this parting note, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. But if there are young people in their 20s and 30s, that we have a black bank, and I would like for you to research the history of black banks in the United States, and One United, which is the longest running black-owned, black-run bank in the country. There were people who say we can't do it, but we have people who have proven they can do it. And here's a new evolution of how we begin to deal with our own economics.
There you go. Straight from the mouth of the Energizer Bunny herself, Miss Lela Boykin. Appreciate that. Appreciate you for being on. Stand by, and I'll talk to you here in just a little bit after we're off the air. But thanks so much again, Lela. Appreciate you. We'll have to have you back, because I got so many more questions.
Oh yeah, I'd love to come back.
All right. Well, boy, my goodness, did I lie? That's Miss Lela Boykin. She has done so much for the good of Central Ohio. She's had her fingers in everything, so it's just been amazing. So be sure to listen to her words, and hey, give her a call when you need to find out a little something about what's going on, or how you can maneuver through that system. So remember, what's your story? I'd like to hear your story, because we know everyone has one. Have a great day.